right, y'all. We back on the scene to pull the lesson out. This is Gaming Looks Good, episode number 18, and we're gonna tackle the Call of Duty retail version. Just came out, so we're gonna be talking about the campaign, the single player. In my previous video, I talked about the multiplayer, and I expressed my concerns at sort of the diversity of the multiplayer. I was a little worried that I might not be carried over into the single player, and unfortunately, my fears have come true, as we'll talk about after this. But before that, this is Game Looks Good, everybody. So we talk about a game from the lens of diversity, race, gender, and sexuality. I'm Sharif Jackson, broadcasting to y'all live out of Milwaukee. And this week's shirt that I'm rocking is actually Get Off of My Z Index, which is sort of the same as Get On My Level, but in programming speak. And this is from the wonderful people at BrooklynGamery.com. Cat Small and the crew there. They are making awesome games on the indie tip, and they have one game out now called Prism Shell, which is on iPhone and Android. Definitely check it out if you get a chance. They're good people. I always like to support good people doing dope things. So let's get back to Call of Duty, y'all. Now, the first thing that pissed me off about this game, which I know is not a great start, but this really, really did upset me, is the character creator. And the character creator basically sets up, just one of the worst things that you can expect from a major, major publisher like Activision, which has all the money in the world to put into the graphics and the details and all that stuff. But they, thought that, even though they give you a choice of gender, that there should be no choice of race. So let us check that out here. So we're loading in. And when I first saw this, I was like, wait a minute. Maybe you got to click on them. Maybe there's some hidden option or something. But no, like literally, these are your faces as a woman, as a woman. And your faces as a guy are not that it's the same shade. Basically all you're switching is the bandana, the hair color, and all that stuff. So they didn't even think of gamers enough to put in a simple shader that literally just changes the color. I mean, I'm not even talking about like the phenotype with the lips and the nose and the eyes, which, to be honest, I would also expect from a larger company, especially since they have the character models in the multiplayer, which I talked about in episode number 17. So this is just egregious, and it just really shows that they just, they just don't care about, being representative in terms of the main protagonists in their games. Now you do have a team in the game that is actually really diverse, and I think that they do a good job with the team dynamics. But as far as you and the other authority figure in the game, and your main lead kind of partner are all white. So it's basically, like the three quote unquote main heroes in the game, all white. And then you're like merry band of minorities in the background who are cool, but they're also kind of like, like the funny, jokey, one, wisecracking guys. So yeah, this part just got me off on such a bad start. And to be honest, if I wasn't reviewing this game, I probably would have put it away just from this alone, because it's really disrespectful, and I would, it's hard for me to recommend this game with this in a place here. But I did soldier on because I wanted to see, how it compared to the multiplayer, in terms of the NPCs and the team. So let's meet the first character of the team, Luis, who is like, sort of like the Latino dude of the squad. And you also get your first look at Taylor, who is like the other kind of authority figure, who's like the standard old white bald headed kind of military guy that's been doing this forever. So let's check that out.
You remember Diaz?
I think so.
I'm gonna help get you up to speed on some of the cool new shit you can do.
Okay, so that's one of my favorite scenes in the whole game, is where he tries to give you like the handshake to show that you're down, and like you just can't do it. Now, part of it might be because like your hand was like sort of cybernetically altered in the game, but I'm gonna twist that around and think that Luis himself, the game character, he is thinking like, man, if only I had a black or a Latino character, they would have been able to give me a pound the right way. You know what I'm saying? So maybe Luis himself has become sentient and is trying to comment within the game about the game. That's so deep. That's like something like Jaden Smith would say, or something. But yep. So let's check out the rest of what Luis has to say.
Communication. We all gotta be in sync. Yo, Taylor, you're a fucking dick. He didn't hear shit.
So as you can see, they're kind of setting him up as like a funny guy, whereas Taylor's like, yeah, he's going to show you that you're a badass. And kind of the same with the black character, so let's check him out next.
You're still here, huh? Pity. I bet D has 100 that you'd be dead by now.
Funny man, Specialist Peter Moretti. He's gonna help you understand how much of a badass motherfucker you are now.
Once again, here's a minority in my team that's going to show you how much of a badass you are. Now, he was even described as funny man. You know what I'm saying? And they might as well just describe every minority on your team as like the funny man or the funny girl, because that's kind of how it ends up. Now, I will say, though, that he does have the nice Caesar cut there. So they did a good job on his haircut, actually. Shout out to Evan Narcisse, who wrote a great article in Kotaku called The Natural, which I would suggest that you Google if you haven't read it yet. But he talks about how difficult it is to get, black haircuts right in games. And I think they did get it right there. So bravo, Activision, for getting the blackness of your NPCs good, but boo to you for not letting me actually play as one, which sucks. So let's go on to the next character, which is Miss Lane.
You remember Specialist Sarah Hall? She's gonna walk you through the next
I'm sorry, I meant Hall.
part. Trust her, do exactly what she says. I trained her myself. She's an intelligence expert from back when that actually meant something.
Yeah, so it's weird because she doesn't get the same like, hey, she's gonna show you that you're a bad motherfucker. But in the game, she's actually the one doing badass things. Check this part out where like she just jumps on this truck and just starts destroying it.
That technical's mine. Give me some cover fire. Get to the bridge. I'll keep them busy. Moretti's got you from here.
Yeah, so that's basically the team. You got like Louise, you got Funny Man like Moretti, and you got Sarah Hall. So you got a Latino dude, a black dude, and like a white woman. Pretty progressive, especially in terms of like Call of Duty. But once again, it just makes it also glaring that they put all this effort into making like your team balance, but not the main hero, not you, not another guy that I haven't showed here yet, Henrix, who's like your like main partner, and not Taylor. So I find that says a lot about the priorities at Activision, and it says a lot about what they consider the default hero in their stories to be, and that sucks a lot.
Agent Kane? I thought I told you to stay up top.
Seemed like you could use some help. Besides, you two made so much noise, every 54i foot soldier's gonna be scrambling to respond.
So this is the second main female character on your team. This is Rachel Kane. As you can see, she is white, but her motto is terrible. She almost looks like a cyborg here. And I thought that she was some kind of cyborg, but this is actually the game kind of messing up. There's some big texture problems with the game, but I wanted to include this because it's pretty damn funny. And there's another great glitch here, but this is actually with Henrix, and you'll get a chance to see how like a Kane's face actually looks.
The last reported operation at
So that's her. So they completely messed it up with the hair and like all the texture in the face. So this is how she actually looks. And let's check out Hendrix.
This station involved a Winslow Accord Black Cyber Ops unit. It was John Taylor's team.
Yeah, so like they basically like slowly filled in his face during the scene. So yeah, I mean, it's the launch weekend, so you know most of these games do launch with some bugs, but it's a shame because it does, kind of fuck things up a bit here.
Do not insult me with your lies. You and your kind have killed many of our people.
Yeah, so now we're in Singapore, and I especially like that line there that like you and your kind have killed a lot of us, because I'm not sure that he's talking about sort of the Black Ops outfit. I think he's talking about like just Westerners in general. I find it a very great line because there's like a whole part in the game that basically talks about how Singapore was like the victim of a big terrorist attack that killed about 300,000 people, and people just kind of left the quarantine zone and just let people die, and these gangs basically they just took over, right? So I feel like that's a little bit, it's some pretty good criticism of like kind of like Western policies, and I think that kind of is the case in real life when there's major accidents at places that like aren't like big Western strongholds. So I actually like that line there, but this is a bit of a setup because he says that like your kind always kills us, and I think you can guess what's gonna happen next.
This cannot be forgiven.
Do you think we do not know why you are here?
You've been made, Hendrix. What's the call?
Now!
Oh. So we have our little robot buddies kill all the Singaporeans in this section. So it kind of makes that line even come true a little more. Now, granted, this is kind of like a weapons arm dealer area where like most of these people are probably shady. But the point is that it was shady people that had to take over and sort of rebuild, some semblance of like government here because the Westerners just bounced. So a bit of a, interesting dialogue and a word choice I definitely would not expect from a Call of Duty game that, really hits on some political tones.
Plan B?
Plan B. Game.
What is that? Is that a baby?
Now, when I got to this scene, my thought was that this is the one of the black characters that they had planned on letting you play as, but they kind of, they just put him to sleep and just laid him out to rest and was like, nah, you ain't getting no people of color to a play. And your character is like, is that a baby? Like, I don't even recognize what a black person looks like because I can only be white. I have no idea of color. I'm colorblind. It's a post-racial Obama Call of Duty America. So one thing that, I feel like there's a lot of scenes here that can speak to the fact that there's no people of color that you can choose from. That's one of them. Let's check out a few others here.
As you know, one of the perks of being black, you owe me 100.
Don't care about black, Hendrix. Care about green.
So this is probably right from the Activision kind of headquarters when I bet some employee said, hey, how about we let them play as some black people? And like some exec was like, I just care about green. Like I'm pretty sure that like that came directly from there.
This is a simulation, right? Like in training. You're testing me. I know it.
It can't be real.
It's not a simulation. It's real.
So like that's how my face looked when I found out that you could not select black people. I was just like, are you serious? This got to be like a simulation, right? So Sarah feels my pain here, as does Henry.
Unit. was John Taylor's team.
I just love that look of just like despair as his face kind of like fully grows in, but he's like realizing, man, like there's really no black people here. So unfortunately, the only way that you can get a black person, as I said in the previous one, is on the multiplayer.
With these upgrades, you never stood a chance.
Yep. So it's weird because, as I said before, they have these models in the multiplayer, but you know they just don't exist at all in the single player. So they have the assets. It's not a question of development time or whatever. They got the voices. They have everything. No excuse. Activision, y'all suck on this, especially given that, you know, another game published by Activision, which is Destiny, which is made by the developer Bungie, of Halo fame. You can select, you know, people of color to be like the hero of the game. This is 2015, y'all. If you're a big company, no excuse, and that's my time, y'all. I'm out. Peace.